Lama banget.
No? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Still resist.
Okay. Kashfi?
Is it any better?
Kashfi? It's still very small, but we can hear you. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. At least it seems to be all connected. Hi, Maurice.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay, Ashby.
Okay. Eddie-san.
Yes.
Is everybody from the Indonesian side there, or are we waiting for some other people? We are.
We are
So thank you very much, Acer, for preparing this. Yeah, let's start with the introduction. So could maybe the Indonesian team? Yeah?
Right.
Yeah?
okay.
Can you introduce yourselves?
Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
My name is Eddie Rukmana. You can call me Eddie. I'm from Siameo Cecep, and I'm going to join the national team for this STEP project. And here in my left side is Mr. Irfuti, our deputy program, and he will also be joining the team.
Okay.
And next is our important person, Mr. Iwan. He is our treasurer, and next one is here. I'm not sure if you can see his face clearly. Mr. Apri will help us with the technology, with the IT. And next is Mr. Irfan. He will help me doing the research. And the last one available here is another researcher from Semio Cecep. It's Mr. Irfan. Hi. So, yeah, so that's all attending the meeting for today.
Okay, thank you very much. So maybe Acer? Can you go ahead? Morris?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah?
Okay. Hey, so I'm Morris Walker. I work at the Australian Council for Educational Research. I'm the newly appointed survey director for ACR Consortium. I'll just give you a little bit of background. You've all received my CV, so I don't need to tell you about all the projects and that I've worked on. But I'm especially excited to meet with the Indonesian team. I do spend quite a lot of time in Indonesia. I was there just 2 weeks ago talking with Abdul from Puspendik, for example. We've done a lot of work with Puspendek over the last few years with Pak Nizam, who you may know. And we have an office in Jakarta, a representative office in Jakarta that's headed by Ibu Lani Ganda. And so we're hoping to meet you in person over the coming weeks and months. Thank you.
Hopefully.
Thank you.
Kashfi.
Kashfi?
It's off.
We don't hear you. Kashfi, we don't hear you.
You're muted, Kashfi.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Hi. My name is Kashfi, and I work with Maurice, and I worked for mainly with the coordination for this project. So you'll be getting a lot of emails, and welcome to the project. And
Okay, thank you. So maybe you want to introduce yourself?
Right. And I'm Luke. I'm happen to be Indonesian working with Yoshi in UNESCO. I'm learning from her a lot. So looking forward to work with you, Maurice, and we've been exchanging quite a few emails with Kashfi.
Okay. Yes, and I'm Yoshi. So yeah, well, you know me. But it's the first time that I see Maurice on the screen, so it's a great pleasure. Thank you for coming on board, Maurice. And okay, let's start the meeting. So we would like the Indonesian team to brief us on the progress to date in terms of the implementation of the SET project in Indonesia. And we also wanted them to explain about what they're up to these days. And we want them to also present a timeline that they have developed. So please, Eddie, yeah?
1 minute, please.
Sure.
Okay. Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, this is discussed earlier with Yossi and Lukman in Paris. Next. This is what we agreed before, that our target population in this STEP project will be kindergartens, and including the head of the kindergartens and kindergarten teachers, while the delivery language will be Bahasa. And
Excuse me.
Yes? Yes? Yes, Maurice?
We've lost the sound, haven't we?
You lost the sound?
We can't hear you.
Oh,
Can,
we hear you, Eddie.
oh, okay. So maybe it's the connection.
Is it just me?
Oh, okay.
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay. So I repeat once more that we agree that the target population for this project will be kindergartens throughout Indonesia, and the respondent will be the head of the kindergartens and their teachers, while the delivery language that will be used is in Bahasa Indonesia. Next. This is our plan. The sample size is 60 kindergartens. It means 240 teachers or auxiliary plus 60 head kindergartens. And the coverage is 34 provinces. We will take 2 kindergarten for selected provinces. You can see the distribution of kindergarten throughout Indonesia in this graph, but yeah, I'm not sure if you can see it clearly, but we will select 60 kindergarten for this field trial sample, and of course we will be consulting with Azure about the selection of the sample. Next. This is the proposal for our mine study next year. Sample size about 27,000 kindergartens, which will cover 135,000. The coverage is nationwide. As you might have learned that the total population of kindergarten in Indonesia is around 91,000. So our consultant here, we take the 30% of the total. So we come up with this number. And this is what we plan to produce this year. The first one is the validated instrument for use in phase 2, including the questionnaire for ECCE staff or teachers, and questionnaire for ECCE center heads, and also another ECCE, combined questionnaire for ECCE staff and head center. And then the second document that we will produce is instruments adapted to national context and tested field trial, and the final report for the first phase. And this is our homework, the very near one. About establishing the national team. Is supposed to be in February. We have to come up with a name. We propose some names to be included, as we have shown to Yossi and Lukman when we were in Paris, but unfortunately we still waiting for the approval from our Director General in Jakarta. Hopefully the affirmation will come soon. But meanwhile, we are doing the translation for the questionnaire, which the first draft has been sent to Yossi and also Lukman. Hello?
Yeah, we're listening.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gone. You are very quiet. And now we are going to do the translation for the coordinator manual, but since we are not going to use the center, we are not going to use the center head as manual. What did I say? We are not going to use the center head as coordinator. Maybe this one can be dropped. What do you think?
Yeah.
While we are also doing the National Quality Monitoring Manual. Mr. Cecep Somantri and I still doing it. And then for data generation for field trial within this month, it means that we are going to propose the target population for this field trial to Azure soon. Hopefully next week we can send the names of the kindergartens and the distribution, the location of the kindergarten. And after that, we are going to fill in the sampling form 1 to 3 also within this month.
Okay.
Thank you. That's our response.
Could I respond?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Thank you for outlining that. To draw your attention to 3 technical aspects of your presentation that I think that would benefit from discussion with ACER before you make any final decisions. The first aspect is the definition of the population that you're using. So this study talks about staff who are teaching at ISKD 0.2. Now, I know that in Indonesia there are many institutions other than kindergartens that teach at this level. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that the study demands that everybody that is within that internationally defined population is part of the nationally defined population, but I would suggest to you that we had a conversation about that. At the very least, study requires is numbers of the numbers of staff and institutions other than kindergartens in Indonesia that would be teach ISKD 0. So first thing I would say is that the estimate of your sample size is far too high for the main survey. Okay. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to reach a national level estimate of teachers within Indonesia. Now, let me draw an analogy with you. You know that Indonesia participates in PISA, right? You're aware of that? That Indonesia participates in PISA?
Yes.
Yeah. So Indonesia has a population of what, 280 million people, and Australia has a population of only 24 million people. But in actual fact, Australia has a larger sample size than Indonesia, because you don't have to, the sample size does not have to reflect a certain proportion in the overall population. What we are trying to do, certain very reach that level of for India, only 5,000 or 10,000 heads staff members. We don't need 135,000 for sure. We don't need that many. However, having said that, you may wish to make comparisons amongst your provinces, and if you do want to do that, then that's something that we would discuss with you as you fill out the sampling forms. But as a first take on the sample size, I would say you would be looking at definitely no more than 10,000 persons in the MATE survey. Now, even if you included all of the other institutions that have students or children that are being taught at ISKD 0.2, that sample size is going to rise by very much at all for a national estimate. It only rises where you want to make comparisons between groups, like between provinces or between types of early childhood education providers, like kindergartens and others, like is it Padang? I would urge you to start having a conversation with ACER through those sampling forms as soon as possible. So take a look at sampling form 1, and if you send that to us as soon as possible, we can open up that conversation, because these discussions have a lot of implication for the resources that you're thinking about. One more point first. I think that your sample size for your field trial, on the other hand, may be a little bit small. Okay, so you might need to go to a few more early childhood centres, kindergartens or whatever, and take a few more staff members. I'm only talking about maybe an extra 20 or 30 institutions and an extra few hundred staff members. But on the other side of that, for your main survey, you're going to only go to around about, at the most, I would think, 10,000, depending on what you want.
Okay.
So it's really important that we start having that conversation very, very soon. And a third point I'll ask Kashfi in here to be taken the nation a little bit, and if Kashfi just sort of outlined what the first.
Hear me?
Okay.
Like really want next big and other countries were already doing actually they're into the maybe we can talk about dates if you can arrange something so on how to adaptation, because first step would be an adaptation negotiation with us, and it will be mainly you'll be working with me, our colleague Totri, and agreed on adaptations with actually the translation and work with Kastan to make it verified and quality controlled. So you a detailed steps, but the first you have a training, you just let us know and then we can organize something.
Okay, thank you, Kasvi. Actually, we have developed a timeline or agenda for the start for the training you mentioned. Uh, we are setting schedule for the week of going with meeting. The activities will be preparation for sampling data, and in these activities, we would like to have a webinar training and also about translation, adaptation, and layout of the instrument. But however, unfortunately, for this month until the end of March will be very tight. Uh, Postpone or move into the third April, if it is okay.
So you would like to have the training sometime in the first week of April?
Yes. Would it be okay?
So I back to Capstone will be the one giving training. So I will need to check with them. If you may send us an email with some of your preferred dates,
Okay.
which dates you prefer,
Okay.
and then I can talk to them and we can coordinate something.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more? I just want to take this opportunity to maybe introduce those who came on board a little bit later. So maybe Toby, could you introduce yourself?
This is Tata.
Yeah.
Indonesia.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anyone hear me? No?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm Toby. I work with Kashfi and Maurice, and I'm from the Adelaide office, and I've been helping out with the Stepp questionnaire development and helping Kashfi where I can as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby.
Thank you. Tata, hello. There's somebody also new from the Indonesian side. So Tata, I think it's you. Introduce yourself. We don't hear you, Tata.
Permit. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, they're frozen. Oh.
All right. Let's just go on then.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we lost Tata for the time being, so let's continue the discussion. So yeah, thank you very much for your comments, Morris and Kashfi, and thank you so much, Eddie, for your presentation. I think the reason for the team to come up with some figures around the sample size for the main study was, if I understand it correctly, because they are in the position it's sometimes in autumn. Is that right? So they would like to, they wanted to have a head start in thinking already about sample size that they deal with in the next years. So this is why prepared this possible sample size, and I appreciate Maurice for advice on starting really with the conversation around the target population and about the information around the sampling forms. I guess you pointed out that that's really the starting point for dealing with all the sampling related issues that are coming up for the field and for the main study. Kashfi, thank you very much for for you and for Capstan to be able to provide a training session on the translation and adaptation for the Indonesian team. That's really kind of you. So as Eddie said, we will look into the schedule in the first week of April or so in order to conduct this training. What else did I have? Yeah, do you have anything, Luke?
Just like Kennedy said, it's about the translation for center coordinators manuals, since
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Indonesia is not going to use center coordinators as involved in the survey management, but we are going to assign someone else, right, to do the job. So we're going, Yoshi mentioned that we need to rework a little on the manual, so it will fit Indonesia.
Yeah, Eddie, can you explain maybe a little bit about what your thoughts are in terms of using survey administrators rather than center coordinators who are resided at the level of centers?
Okay. As you might have learned that Indonesia is very large country, so we also have around 29 branch offices that work very closely with us. I mean, government office who are working on early childhood education throughout Indonesia. Basically, in every province, we have one branch office. So, in terms of
21.
human resource, we have plenty of it. So, we are going to make the best use of our partner in the branch office to act as a coordinator for their respective area.
So what about those provinces without that kind of office? You mentioned only 29 offices. Yet Indonesia has 74.
We have 4 provinces that don't, 5 provinces which don't have branch office. Do you know? It's Bangka Belitung around Sumatera and Riau Island, Jakarta, West Papua, and Northern Kalimantan.
Now, I mean, the question is, are we still going to work in those 5 provinces?
Yes, of course, of course. Those provinces who have no office is within coordination from the central office.
Okay, thank you very much. So what we have been saying with the Indonesian team is that we might have to look into adapting, adapting the center coordinator manual. These people working at the branch offices will be able to act as administrators of the survey for the field trial. So I was wondering also, because I heard from you, Acer, Kashfi, and also Petra, that in some other countries, they have also decided not to use the center coordinators as such, but they also wanted to
assign specific.
Yes, assign specific officers who are responsible for local authorities to be. So if you have had in order to sort of adopt them,
she's using some was in Namibia suggested that man will do engine using this and they will let us know what I was really getting so we chance to check on the future.
All right. Is there anything else from anyone?
Just a comment regard to the using the branch. Obviously, that's absolutely to them adapt the manual accordingly. A comment that you said, I'm not sure if it's intentional, but we will not need to go to to 29 different provinces in the field trial. So we can, those provinces, and probably only those provinces do have. Jakarta was one of the provinces that didn't have a coordinator. We could usefully use Jakarta as well and test out the national centre procedure for coordinating that as well. So that would be very easy for everybody, and we'd get a good sample from there as well. That's just, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this clarification. It's very helpful. Okay, so maybe we can continue with the presentation by the Indonesian team.
Okay, this is the timeline that we developed earlier. The first one is in March that we have already proposed. Will be moved to early in first week of April, and the last week of April also we would like to conduct another meeting. So can you read the timeline?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The point is, in both activities, in the first one and the second, we would like to have webinar training. First on the translation and adaptation of instrument, and the second is on the how we review the translation. And in May, but I'm not sure about the exact date. The training on administration, data management, and quality monitoring. So basically, we'll need 3 training between April and March. I mean between April and May. While we plan to conduct the implementation of field trial and quality monitoring starting from May, right after the last training. And this is the target population. Please correct me. Earlier we proposed about 60 ECC center, which include 240 teacher and 60 head center. As Maurice said, we do not need to cover 60 center. Is that correct?
No, I said for the field trial we may need to cover more, have more staff than 240. It's for the main survey where you need fewer.
Okay.
Yeah. I would need to go back to the. I would need to go back to the manual to have a look at that. I don't know what the figures are off the top of my head, but that looks a little bit low. Kashfi, do you know the figures for the field trial off the top of your head?
As far as I can remember, we did say around 240, but that's just the staff, and that's and then we also have to factor in the center heads or the combined staff and center head. So I think the best option would be really filling out the forms, and then once we have had a look at the forms, we can probably advise the team better on what the sample size should be.
That's a good point. Thank you, Kashfi.
No worries.
Okay, so I and my team will try to fill the form and then send it to you, and then you can come back again with suggestion about the exact number, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. schedule. May and June, we are going to implement the field trial. In July, we are going to do the data entry, cleaning, and documentation. August, we are going to have another national team meeting concerning the evaluation of the field trial and then the preparation for analysis and reporting of the national data. September and October, we are doing the analysis and reporting, while December, preparation in the international end of phase 1 meeting. But please note, in September, we have, you maybe still remember that our office schedule that in September we are going to have 2 workshops or 2 international seminars. The first one is the innovative financing mechanism, and the other one is our office governing board meeting. And this morning we just had a video conference also with the senior secretariat that the governing board meeting will be held between 19 to 22 of September. So those dates will not be available for Stepp project.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. So we have had a discussion about the timing of the international face-to-face meeting earlier, and even though in this table it's indicated that it's going to be in December, we had the idea of having it in the 3rd week of November, around that time. Yeah, so we have already conveyed that to Acer, so they have already made a note of this timing. So yeah, just a little footnote regarding your timetable. So yeah, Maurice and Kashri, if you had any comments on the timetable.
Yes, thanks Yoshi, and thanks Eddie. Yes, look, I do have just a couple of comments. One is that I think it's, on the whole, it's a very good timetable. I would like to point out that at the front of it, the sampling and the translation activities, that's a very tight time frame. So I know that I sound a bit like a broken record, but getting those sampling forms to us as soon as possible is really going to help with that timeline, and engaging in those translation procedures is going to help as well. I see those as the 2 biggest risks to the timeline, so we need to really try and move on those really fast. And if we can do that, then I don't see any problem with the rest of the timeline. Secondly, though, I see you have analysis and reporting of national data in September. Now, generally, and Yoshi, you can correct me here if I'm wrong, but it would be expected that ACER would undertake the analysis and report back on the field trial. So I'm not sure if Indonesia needs to think about putting resources towards analysis when it's really the consortium that will undertake the analysis. So I just wanted to make that clear, and the timing of that is dependent on UNESCO, of course. And yeah, so those are the 2 points I wanted to make. It's a very tight time frame at the beginning, and it's the consortium that will undertake the analysis. So you don't have to plan for that. You just have to provide us with the data.
So the analysis, we don't need to do that, right?
That's correct.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right. Yes.
Okay. just to make sure.
This is a good meeting for you, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He looks very happy.
Yeah, let's work for me. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you, Morris, for pointing out this, this task that to be done by Isher. So yes, I think towards the end of the timeline, it will be getting better and better for the Indonesian team.
Okay.
All right,
Any more
Kashfi, do you have any?
comment?
Yes, do you have any comments, Kashfi?
Not at this moment. The only thing I think that we need to discuss very soon are the dates for the different trainings. So if we are going to have all the trainings between April and May, and there are a lot of sessions to plan. So yeah, it would be good if you can come up with some dates and give us some indications. We will also plan with our staff as well, and see how soon we can arrange everything.
Okay, thank you, Kaspi. We will come back to you as soon as possible with the exact date for our training. I will send you email.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have anything?
Right. One, for the field trial, it's in May and June. Just need to remind everyone that is Ramadan and Eid al-Fitri. It's gonna be difficult in Indonesia. You might want to think that over.
Oh, thank you for
The second thing, it might not be a data analysis, but still I think Indonesia will still need to make a counter report on the field trials, right?
For the field trial,
No.
there's no need.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're good. Another good news.
Mhm.
That's it from me.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Mhm.
Thank you, Kang Lukman, for reminding me of the Ramadan. That is why we are cramping the schedule into May and June, because previously we include the analysis, but if we don't need to do the data analysis, so we can, maybe we have spare more time to collect the data. Maybe we can spare between May to July or to August about the data collection, just in case, as you suggest, about the Ramadan, that it will be quite difficult for us to do the data collection. Maybe I will come with the revised time schedule about it.
Okay. Thank you. If I remember it correctly, Kashfi, the field trial is scheduled for all the countries to take place between May and August. So
That's right.
even considering this period of Ramadan, and that if the Indonesian team would like to shift a little bit towards later dates, I think it's going to be fine. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
As long as we can keep within that timeline and try to get all the data from the countries before the end of August, I think it will be good. But of course, we will have to be flexible because some countries have got holidays and there are festivals and everything to think about. So yes, definitely we can work with the countries and think about that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Just
look-
to know, what is the holidays, summer holidays in Indonesia?
We don't have summer holiday.
We don't have
Summer.
It's summer of the year. Summer of the year.
So you have no holidays.
No.
No, but Ramadan is until mid-June.
You're right.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So.
So to my mind, starting the data collection immediately after Ramadan is probably a good idea. But we still should start the sampling forms and the translations and the trainings as soon as possible, because the other thing during Ramadan is that, you know, things slow down a little bit in Indonesia, and so we don't want to be tying up loose ends during Ramadan.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So if there's anything, if there's no more comments or remarks, then I think we can close the meeting. I think it was very, very productive. Thank you very much for staying a long time, especially Acer's side from Australia. And thank you very much for the Indonesian team to be able to set up this WebEx meeting and to be participating in large number from your team. Thank you, Eddie, especially for your presentation and your explanations. It was very, very useful. And thank you, Luke, for being there. So yeah, so the very first thing to do is the sampling forms.
Yes.
So let's get started, and we look forward to continue working with you. So have a nice evening.
Thank you
Have a
very
nice
much.
day.
I think that was a very productive meeting.
Hello?
Thank you very much.
Yes, Eddie.
Eddie. Thanks, everyone.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, we
Yes.
hear you.
Hello?
Hello. Yes.
We're still here.
Hello?
Hello. Yes.
Still there?
Yeah.
They may not be able to complete their request. They're having problems. Hello?
Yes. Hello.
Yes, sorry for the interruption. I remember you once said that Asar or Capstan will send us the Excel form for the translation.
Yeah, that's next
I mean
week.
the latest one.
Yes. Kashfi.
Yes, that's right, Eddie. We are working on that, and hopefully we can send it to you by next week. Hello, can you hear me?
Disappeared.
I'm not sure. The meeting seems to have changed.
Oh, yeah.
Yoshi, can you hear me?
Yes.
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 Did you hear Kashfi?
Yeah.
To Eddie later on.
Yeah. Well, we can communicate by email. So
Yeah,
yeah, I guess we can close the meeting.
I think so.
Back.
Hello?
Hi.
Yes, do you remember you said that Asar will send us the latest version of the Excel form for the translation?
Yes, that's right. Yes, Kashfi, please.
So we are working on that, and it's almost finalized, and we will share that with you very, very soon. And with that email, we will also explain you what the steps are, so what you have to do and how you have to negotiate with us. So that's all coming, hopefully, by next week.
Thank you very much, Kashfi. Thank you very
No
much,
worries.
Maurice. Okay.
Okay.
So thank you, and have a nice day, have a nice evening, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Let's go. Mute.
That was a very good connection.